Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. The highest profile Democrats in the U.S. House are now blasting Donald Trump over what lawmakers in both parties are calling the biggest corruption scandal in U.S. history. The Trump administration is attempting to hand out $1.7 billion to Trump allies, including the Proud Boys and neo-Nazis who participated in the January 6th Capitol riot. At a House Judiciary Committee hearing, Democrat Jasmine Crockett of Texas was blunt.
Proud Boys are freaking white supremacists. Neo-Nazis are too. And this president, who loves to coddle white supremacists, has decided that they should be given checks. The reasons that I pointed to those particular organizations is because you can go and read, I don't know how many articles, as Dr. Swain wants people to read up. I'm going to be clear. I've read my fair share of books. I do have my fair share of degrees. It is clear that neo-Nazis as well as Proud Boys joined in on January 6th. Yet this slush fund that they keep talking about is specifically to give them money.
In January, President Trump and his sons filed a lawsuit against the IRS seeking restitution over the 2019 leak of their tax returns. A judge was considering throwing out the $10 billion lawsuit because Trump was both the plaintiff and the defendant, since the president oversees the IRS. Well, now Trump has endorsed a settlement. Democrat Jamie Raskin of Maryland calls the Trump effort an illegal political slush fund.
The $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS is completely bogus. It's empty. It's vacuous. There's nothing to it. There was a private contractor who leaked reports of Donald Trump's tax returns that Trump had promised to make public, like every other president had done. He said, I'm going to release my tax returns. Then he said he wouldn't. The IRS didn't do anything, but this private contractor released some of the details, and he's in prison. He went to jail for it. There's no private right of action under the statute, and it's happened to lots of people. So the idea that it's $10 billion that he's going to order the Secretary of the Treasury to order the IRS chief to give to him is ridiculous. There's just nothing there. So there's nothing to trade, but then they traded that mythical $10 billion they claimed to be owed for dropping real criminal investigations into all of the corruption or some of the corruption that the Trump family's engaged in, and then also for the creation of this $1.7 billion slush fund.
That's right. $1.7 billion will go to allies of Donald Trump. And the other part of the settlement would have the IRS dropping all audits into Trump, his family, and their businesses. Legal scholars say the IRS promise to never audit or pursue members of the Trump family again is unlawful, in addition to being corrupt. And as far as the creation of a fund to compensate people that Trump claims were wrongly targeted during the Biden administration, Raskin points out Trump already pardoned all of the January 6 rioters. And if you do the math, the January 6 rioters under the fund could each become millionaires.
There are 1,600 people that he's pardoned, and they want a $1.7 billion slush fund, which comes to $1 million a head in terms of the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, the insurrectionists, with $100 million left over of taxpayer money to spread around in different ways. Congress never voted to appropriate that money. We control the power to spend. We never created that, and we never would. There's no way you could ever get that out of Congress. So they're using the judgment fund of the United States, which is for valid court verdicts against the United States or valid court settlements, to simply confer money on their private political militia, their street fighting militia, which went to battle for them on January 6, 2021. And what do you know? Right before this election, they want to shower these people with $1 million a head. I mean, it's an outrage. It's a scandal. It's also unconstitutional because the 14th Amendment says in Section 4 that no money shall go to pay for insurrection or rebellion.
No money shall go for insurrection or rebellion. Of course, the Constitution has not stopped Donald Trump from a host of unlawful and corrupt actions. And when it comes to slush funds, the list is long. Trump created the Board of Peace, for example. The administration still won't say if the Board of Peace is public or private, profit or not-for-profit. The Trump administration gave the board $1.5 billion from the State Department, money that was supposed to go to disaster relief. Trump created another slush fund with Venezuelan oil. This fund is run out of Qatar. And in this latest slush fund, the DOJ payout to Trump allies that were prosecuted during the Biden administration, Trump is essentially trying to pay his insurrectionist army. Trump is also clearly trying to whitewash the January 6th riot. At the time, Republicans, including Ted Cruz, called January 6th a terrorist attack. And back to Texas Democrat Jasmine Crockett. As she notes, Donald Trump is trying to give money to people he believes were wrongly prosecuted when the United States still has not accounted for actual historical injustices like slavery.
But you're telling me that $2 billion in the same country that I'm sure some of y'all would struggle with whether or not the enslavement of black people was good or bad. I'm not even gonna go there and ask y'all the question because y'all struggle with defining that these people were white supremacists. But this country still hasn't thought that reparations made sense for black folk in this country. But at the same time, they've decided that people that are in organizations that are absolutely white supremacy organizations should get our tax dollars because they decided to tear apart or attempt to tear apart our democracy. They are being rewarded. These are people that went through our criminal justice system. When people on that side of the aisle claim that they love law and order, they went through it. They either entered pleas of guilty or they were found guilty. And this president, on day one, his priority was not around racism. It was around doing things like letting them go and now putting money in their pockets.
And on top of putting money in the pockets of white supremacists and other Trump supporters, Trump could also use the Justice Department fund to give money to his own family members and personal friends. The potential corruption is literally unprecedented and off the charts. And it's part of a pattern. The one constant in Donald Trump's second term has been his effort to seize as much of the federal budget as possible and put it directly under his control. The whole thing is corruption. And the Justice Department slush fund is just the latest chapter. Thankfully, some Republicans have joined countless Democrats in condemning the Trump actions. And Democratic stars like Jamie Raskin and Jasmine Crockett in particular are speaking out loudly and forcefully. Did you know that the big wireless carriers like Verizon and AT&T made over $18 billion in profit last year? How? By overcharging you for unlimited data, most of which you probably aren't even using. But what if you could get paid to use your phone less and only pay for the data you do use? Well, with Noble Mobile, you can. For just $50 a month on their No Bull plan, you get unlimited data, and whatever data you don't use, you get cash back right in your pocket. People who switch to Noble can save an average of $500 to $1,000 a year. It's a no-brainer. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT and our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan. By the way, a new midterm election poll has the Trump White House in a complete panic.
Democrats have an 11-point lead in the congressional ballot, the generic congressional ballot in that New York Times poll, but a 14-point lead with likely voters. The 11-point lead with registered voters, the 14-point lead with likely voters. And in a midterm election, that likely voter number matters even more. We know that midterm elections often, there's a lot of it's about enthusiasm. These are people who say they're absolutely for certain going to run. We've seen that advantage for Democrats all along. But if you put a 14-point congressional ballot lead together with the president's numbers, 43 points underwater with independent voters, I'm not predicting anything because I don't make predictions anymore, but that is the kind of thing that you see when a wave is building and when a wave is coming.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.